Welcome to the Ecommerce Alley podcast, where we believe that great brands are built on passionate leadership, smart operations, and of course, powerful marketing. I am your host, Josh Coffey. Like the drink, but a little bit more caffeinated. Depends on what time of the day it is, because later in the day, I have more caffeine in me. So today we're gonna be diving into what everybody wants to know, what everybody in our group is asking about, and that is Facebook ads. And so we're gonna be breaking down something that our team has developed that we call promo sprint campaign. So whether you're advertising now or you're not, listen up, because we are going to dive deep. Josh, give us something meaty. I hear that a lot. Every time we're doing live streams in our group, we're sending emails, we're talking to people. You know what? Everybody wants to know stuff about Facebook ads. And I don't blame them, because Facebook ads is super powerful, effective in business, but it can also be confusing. And sometimes it's a little overwhelming and daunting if you haven't done it yet. And then there are just so many rabbit trails of conversation and things you have to do. You know, like, hey, if I'm running a product that I found works really well and I'm running these campaigns for it, but I also want to try new products, or maybe there's a holiday coming up, or maybe I want to run a flash sale. Like, what do you do in those scenarios? You know, like, how do you run campaigns for short periods of time, long periods, retargeting? Like, there's just so many things, which is why I don't think you can ever talk about Facebook ads in a single podcast. You'd be here for 192 hours, and by then, new strategy would be coming out. So what we're going to be talking about today is something that we call promo sprint campaigns. Now, the reason we call them promo sprints is simply because they are a promotion of a particular offer that we sprint over a short duration. This isn't like marathon. We're not running this. We're not trying to scale this and run this all the time, 24/7, 365. Like, we're not trying to run this as a long campaign. And so, you know, outside of what we call evergreen product offer campaigns, outside of that, we like to run something called promo sprints. And so simply a promo sprint is promoting a certain offer or over a shorter defined period of time. Now, a couple examples here. So holidays are great for this. You know, you have Memorial Day, obviously you have Black Friday, Cyber Monday, Giving Tuesday, the entire Christmas season. There are a lot of awareness months. There are a lot of history months that we can utilize. And so in those scenarios, we don't need to necessarily run campaigns like we do a lot of other campaigns. Sometimes the rules are different. Sometimes the way we run them is going to be a little bit different. Or maybe you have a new product line that you just released and you want to test the waters with ads. You want to say, hey, how does our audience respond? How do people respond to this product? You know, you don't want to go into this massive amounts of experimentation because you don't know if the product works yet or not. And so in that scenario, promo sprints are also wonderful. So what I'm going to break down, and we're going to dive pretty deep here. So I'm going to start by breaking down what to do in advance, how to prepare it, how to build the strategy, and then even walk you through the structure and the management of that. All right. So this is going to be pretty deep here. So I hope you can track with me. I'll try to explain this as best that I can. So promo sprint campaigns are those campaigns we run for a short defined period of time. But before we actually create them, there are a few things we need to do. So the very first thing we do in the building of a promo sprint is we need to create what we like to call a cash cow offer. So a cash cow offer is simply a repositioning of your products in a more incentivizing and appealing way. You know, don't sell your products as is. You know, too many people do this. They become product pushers, where all they do is just cram their products down people's throats, rather than selling the solution or the feelings that your product will provide. You know, certain products, you might have a product that actually provides a solution and helps people and makes their life better. And so, great, let's focus on that rather than saying, hey, buy this product, right? So we call these cash cow offers because we're going to offer our product with a specific angle, and we want to package it into something that's more enticing. We don't want to just say, here's my product. We want to say, hey, here's how my product solves this problem, or here's how my product makes you feel. And so we do this with something called cash cow offers, and we have a whole framework for this. I'm not going to dive into this, but if you do want to see an example, we have a document called Cash Cow Offer Examples, and how we position products, and how, and this includes discounting too. Like, discounting is an enticing thing to do, especially if you're running over holidays. So you could have discount, you can have buy two, get one, you can get a free gift with purchase. Those are examples of discounted offers, but overall you need to position your products differently than just saying, hey, here's my t-shirt, go buy my t-shirt. We need to position them in a cash cow way, because it'll be a cash cow if you can really get it to work. And so if you want to see examples, go to alleypodcast.com/group, join the Facebook group. In there is a, under the guide section, I believe, there's the cash cow offer examples doc that our team has. I think it gives you 12 different examples of how to position your products as cash cow offers. So the first thing we need to do is determine, what are we even selling? Like, what is the offer we're going to make over this holiday, this season, this whatever? Now, the second thing we need to do is based on what we're going to offer. Maybe it's a collection, or maybe it's an individual product. The second thing we need to do is we need to establish our numbers. So we need to establish two things: our break-even return on ad spend and our target return on ad spend. So one of the rules of marketing is that it must be profitable, because if it's not profitable, there's no point in continuing to do it. You will just bleed yourself dry. And so in order to know if you're profitable or not, you have to know what your break even is. All right, you need to know what your break even return on ad spend is. And then on top of that, you also need to know what your target return on ad spend is. So break even means we're acquiring customers after cost of goods sold and after everything that we have into the product shipped to them. After all of that, the break even is basically acquiring customers for free. Now, target return on ad spend means that we have margin, we have profit built in to the acquisition of that customer. And so what we do is we do what we call a profit planner. And so we're going to plan our profits based on the offer. And I'll give you a good example. So if I have a $100 average order value, and based on this product, I have a $100 product. I'm just going to make this real easy. $100 product. If I have a 50% margin after my cost of goods, processing fees, fulfillment, etc. If I have a 50% margin, it means that I need to have a 2x return on ad spend to break even. Right? So, and the way we calculate this is 1 divided by my profit margin, which is 50%. 1 divided by 0.5 gives me 2. And so I have a 2x return on ad spend, and then I say, hey, what is my target? And we will usually add 25 to 50% to that, and then that is our target. If we're at target, then we're going to start scaling. If that was too much, you might have to rewind and go through that again. But the thing is, we need to establish those two numbers, because those numbers allow us to say we're winning or we're losing. So we need break even and target return on ad spend. So once we have created and determined what our offer is going to be, we've established based on that offer what the break even or the target return on ad spend is, then we need to go into step 3, and this is building the actual campaign strategy for a promo sprint and the structure of that campaign. So when we are running a promo sprint, we're going to answer we're going to answer 5 questions. The first question is, what's the occasion? Is this a holiday? Is this a flash sale? Is it a special month? Is it a new product launch? Is it a summer sale, a fall sale? Like, what's the occasion? Is it an anniversary weekend for your business? What's the occasion that we're actually promoting? Because our copy and our creatives, our ads, everything is going to need to be tailored to what that is. If it's a holiday sale or if it's a 4th of July sale and you're selling in the United States, well, you're probably going to have flags, or same thing with Memorial Day, you're going to have flags, you're going to have fireworks, you're going to have things potentially in the creatives and the copy that represent the holiday. So first question, what's the occasion? The second question is, what's the offer? So again, we need to look back at the cash cow offer framework, and we need to look and say, hey, what are we actually going to be offering that is enticing to people? And so when running a promo sprint, we will typically, 99% of the time, we're going to have an offer over simply just saying, here's the product, buy it. So first question, what's the occasion? Second, what's the offer? Third, what is the timeline? So because these are sprints are not long. Sprints are start and end, right? We have a starting line and we have a finish line. So for you, it's going to be the start date and it's going to be the end date. So what is the timeline of that? Is this a weekend sale that starts on Friday morning at midnight? Does this start on Saturday? Is it 2 days, 3 days? Figure out the timeline. Now, number 4, we're going to say, who are we targeting? Now, I will say this. A majority of the time with promo sprints, we're going to be running our ads to hot and warm audiences who have engaged essentially on platform or off platform with our website, or they are in our database. Maybe they're on our email list in Klaviyo, and we have that integrated with Facebook. And so the reason being is that if you're running a sprint, right? A sprint is short. Cold traffic can take time to get to work. Now, if you have audiences that you've dialed in and you know they work no matter what, they always work, well, then you may include some cold audiences. But for the most part, if we want to get the highest profit from our ads in a short period of time, we want to take our dollars and put them to people that already know who we are. So our warm and our hot audiences that have engaged with us on social media, or they've engaged with us off social media on our website, or maybe they are in our database. And so we will typically run, majority of the time, promo sprints we're running to our warm and hot audiences, because since we're running for a short period of time, the probability of your ads optimizing and hitting the right people in cold audiences is pretty slim unless those audiences are proven over and over and over and over and over again. So, but the good news is, if you're running ads in any other capacity, especially if you have campaigns that you run all the time that work for a specific product entry point, then you're going to be building your warm and hot audiences every day already. And so when we're running these, we're typically running to warm and hot audiences. And then the 5th thing we're going to ask is, what is our budget? So from a budget standpoint, if we're targeting warm and hot audiences, and we use these numbers, by the way, we use these across the board, whether it is for a promo sprint, or it's a catalog sales campaign, or it's another retargeting campaign, we use these numbers as a pretty good rule of thumb. So for us, with warm and hot audiences, if we're running for a short sprint, we're running $3 to $5 per day per 1,000 people in an audience. So to make sense of that, if I have 100,000 people, let's just put all my warm and hot audiences together on Facebook. If I have 100,000 people in there, I'm going to spend $300 to $500 a day on this campaign for the duration of the campaign. So if there's a 3-day weekend sale, Friday, Saturday, Sunday, for example, I'm going to be running $300 to $500 a day, Friday, Saturday, and Sunday. Now, as far as optimizing and increasing that, we'll talk about that in a little bit, but that's what we're going to start with. So $3 to $5 per day. But that's just a rule of thumb. So you can also push the budget higher. It kind of depends on the time of year as well and what the event is. So for example, during Black Friday, Cyber Monday, sometimes we'll be pushing $7 to $10 per 1,000 people in an audience. We're going to be hyper aggressive because people are in buying mode, and we want to really fight to get as much attention as we possibly can to really drive home the profits and really have a strong Black Friday, Cyber Monday weekend. And so as a rule of thumb, we're running in sprint campaigns $3 to $5 per 1,000 people in your audiences. Okay, so I hope that makes sense. So first of all, what's the occasion? Number 2, what's the offer? Number 3, what's the timeline? Number 4, who are we targeting? And then number 5, what is the budget we're going to be running? Now, once we have answered those questions, we have the info, right? We've done our information gathering and kind of planning the strategy, right? Now we'll be able to structure our campaign. And so when we structure our campaign for promo sprints with only warm and hot audiences, here's how we're going to structure it. And again, this is a rule of thumb. So you can tweak these according to what you already know works with your audiences and your ad account. A lot of ad accounts work similarly, but there are different nuances between them that we often see that sometimes will work in one but not work in another. And so the overall campaign structure that we're typically going to use is on the campaign level. We're going to run for conversions, purchase, right? We're driving purchases. That's what we want to do. Our goal is to drive as many purchases as possible. Now we're going to set a start and an end date. We're usually using midnight to midnight if we're going for full days. And we are going to set this on CBO, so campaign budget optimization. So we're going to set the budget on the campaign level if all our audiences are warm and hot. All right, so the only reason we wouldn't do that is if we tried to inject cold audiences within our campaign at the same time, and in that scenario, we would go to an ad set budget level. But for the most part, we're running hot and warm audiences in our sprint campaigns, and so we're gonna go CBO. All right, so that's the campaign level. Now, for the next level down, we have the ad set level, and at the ad set level, there are 2 buckets that your ad sets are gonna fall into. You have audiences that are warm and hot. You have audiences with 25,000 people and higher in them. For example, you might have website visitors in the last 90 days, and let's say it's 32,000 people. That's going to fall into bucket 1, which is more than 25,000 people in an audience. Bucket 2 is the opposite, right? It's audiences with less than 25,000 people in those. And so if there is an audience that you have that has more than 25,000 people, we're going to put that as its own ad set. All right, so anything over 25,000 in a single audience, that is the only audience we're going to be running ads to in that ad set. Now, if there are less than 25,000 people in an audience, so let's give you an example here. Let's say you have lead form submissions. Maybe you're running lead ads and people are opening and filling out your lead forms. Maybe you have 2,200 people in a lead form, and then your video views of your ads are at 17,000. And so we have these on-platform engagements. And maybe the people that engage with your Facebook and Instagram posts, maybe that's 12,000. Well, all of those ones that are under 25, we're going to take all of them. You have on-platform, which we consider warm, and then you have off-platform, people who visit our website or people that are in our email lists and our database. Those are hot. So we have warm and hot. And so all we're going to do is take everything else that doesn't have 25,000, we're going to lump them into a warm stack. We're going to stack them all together. And then we're going to take all the hot people and we're going to stack them all together. Everyone who doesn't have at least 25,000. Now, they may collectively add up to over 25,000, but if an individual audience by itself, let's say people on your email list that Facebook is connected with, if it's less than 25K, they're going to get into what we call a warm stack, a hot stack, and then we also have a warm stack. So I'm talking through this. I know it's not visual, but I really want to make sense of this. So campaign level, purchases, CBO, start and end date. Ad set level, any audience over 25,000 gets its own ad set. Anything else that is below 25,000 gets lumped together in a warm stack and a hot stack. All right. So however many audiences you have that are over 25, that's going to really dictate how many different ad sets you're going to have within the campaign. And then what happens is you break these all out, and because the budget is on a campaign level, Facebook's just going to start to spend the budget amongst those different campaigns as it sees fit. All right. So that's what we're doing on the ad set level. Now, on the ad level, all the ads we're going to create, and we'll talk about ads in a moment, all the ads we're going to create, we're going to put in there as single posts. We're not doing a dynamic creative ad. A lot of times, and Facebook's going to recommend that you do it. A lot of times it'll often automatically check it as a DCA, a dynamic creative ad. It'll turn that on for you, and it'll turn on the optimized creative for you. Turn those off. We're running these as single posts. And so on the ad level, we're running a single post with 1-day click attribution, and we're going to always have UTM parameters or URL parameters within every single ad. All right. So that's the ad level. So we have the campaign level, CBO, we're driving for purchases. We have a start and end date. Ad set level, audiences over 25,000 get their own ad set. Audiences below it all get stacked into a warm stack and a hot stack. And then on the ad level, we take all of our ads that we create for this promo sprint, and we're going to have all of them as individual ads. We're gonna have 1-day click attribution, and we're going to have UTMs. I told you we were getting meaty, all right? I told you we're getting into the meat and potatoes here. This is some pretty deep stuff. All right, so now we have step 4. So to recap here, step 1, we're creating a cash cow offer, determining what that is. Step 2, we're establishing our break-even and target ROAS. Step 3, we're building the campaign strategy and the structure of the campaign. Step 4, we're now going to build our ad assets. So because promo sprints are a short period of time and they're often focused on our warm and hot audiences, what we want to do is we want to have all of our assets created in advance. We want them in our back pocket. We don't want to launch a weekend sale, a Memorial Day weekend sale that goes live on Friday, and then on Saturday you find out that all of your ads completely sucked and there were no purchases from them by Saturday afternoon, and then have to suddenly kill your Memorial Day Saturday and start creating new ads and start from scratch. We don't want to be doing anything last minute because it's a short period of time. So we want to create everything up front. And really the number of ads you should create it varies based on the size of audiences that you have. If you've been doing this for a while and you have a lot larger custom audiences of warm and hot, then we're going to create more ads. But if you have not been doing this a while and you have smaller audiences, we're going to have a little bit less ads because we don't want to introduce 50 ads if you have 20,000 people in your retargeting audiences. It doesn't make sense. There's too many variables for Facebook to really work. And so as a minimum though, here's what we're gonna do. And most people I will say fall into this bucket. As a minimum, meaning you have less than 100,000 to 200,000 total people in your warm and hot audiences. As a minimum, we're gonna create 4 to 6 ads for the offer. Most people will be there. So if you have less than 100,000 people within all your custom audiences, 4 to 6 ads are gonna be fine. But if you start pushing 500,000 and beyond, 1 million plus in your custom audiences, well then you're just gonna adjust the number of ads based on your account knowledge, all right? Because by the time you have larger audiences, you have an idea of how many ads are doing well in your account before they fatigue. And so I can't give you an exact number of what that will be because everybody is different. And so if you're over that threshold, you've probably been doing Facebook ads for a while and you have an idea of what that number will be. But as a minimum, we're gonna create 4 to 6 unique ads. And so what'll happen is we launch all 4 to 6, let's just say 6 in this scenario. We launch, if it was a weekend sale, we launch all 6 at the same time. And then when we do the optimization, which I'll talk about in a moment, we'll end up turning the ads off as they fall out of KPI, all right? So from an ad standpoint, we wanna create all of our ads up front. We don't wanna do any last minute stuff, add any additional stress to our plate. We wanna make it really, really simple to optimize and manage our promo sprints. So that is step number 4. Now step number 5, and this is the final step, is to then launch and manage that promo sprint. And so once the campaign goes live, what we're gonna do, because this is a short run, right? Because it's short, we're going to check daily to look at the results and then optimize. Now, normally we're not gonna touch a campaign this frequently. Normally, if we're managing evergreen product offers and we're running ads, we're not gonna be touching our ads every single day. When you get your hands in the pot, it's just kind of like cooking rice. You know, if you're cooking rice and you just keep opening the lid to see how the rice is doing, guess what happens? The rice doesn't turn out very good. It's the same thing with Facebook ads. If you're constantly making tweaks and adjustments and you're not letting it actually cook and do its job, you'll see campaigns get out of whack really, really quickly. And so this is a little different only because we're running it for such a short period of time. So I'm not gonna launch it Friday and then come back on Monday and or Tuesday and then just hope for the best, all right? So once we go live, as a basic rule of thumb, here's how we will optimize on something as in a quick time frame like this. 2 primary things we're gonna do. Number 1, because we have all the audiences and we don't have a long period of time, what we're gonna do is we're simply going to turn off ads that are below break-even return on ad spend and have more than 2,000 impressions. So what'll happen is you're gonna launch your ads. Let's say you have 5 ad sets you ended up with. You launch those 6 ads in the same 6 ads in all 5 of those ad sets. Then what's gonna happen is Facebook's gonna latch onto 1 or 2, maybe 3, really probably 1 or 2 ads for all of those ad sets. And it's gonna start pouring all the budget into a single ad or 2, right? So it's gonna start putting it in a single ad or 2 within those campaigns. And so when it does that, that's okay. You know, we're gonna let it do it. But when we check back, if there's been more than 2,000 impressions on that ad, and it's not above our break-even ROAS, then we're gonna turn it off and let Facebook start distributing the budget to other audiences. All right, so that's the first rule of thumb. So number 1, just turn off ads below break-even that have at least 2,000 impressions. And the reason we want 2,000 impressions is because if there was 48 impressions on an ad and it only spent 28 cents, well, obviously it's not gonna be above break-even. It probably has 1 click or 2 clicks if you're lucky. So we need to make sure it's been seen enough times to say, hey, we should have a purchase by now, all right? So 2,000 impressions is the number we look for. And then the second rule is to increase the overall budget 20 to 30% per day if you're at target ROAS or higher. So let's say that your break-even return on ad spend is 2, and let's say your target is 2.5. Like we add a little bit of buffer there, right? If it's running a 2.7 or a 3 or a 3.2, if it's above it by the second day, we're going to increase the budget of the entire campaign on the campaign level. We're going to increase it 20 to 30%. So we're not going to be able to scale super large over a 3-day weekend, right? But we can increase it a little bit, right? If we increase it 30% and 30% again, we've been able to increase our budget a pretty good amount, and it maximizes the revenue we produce that weekend. And so obviously though, like I call it the rule of thumb, because obviously there's so many variables that come into play, right? So let's say you launched it, and if by day two, there are no purchases, nothing is working, then you're gonna have to do a deeper analysis and say, hey, what's going on here, right? Is there a technical error? Is the page broken? Is there something in our website that's not working? Is it out of stock? Are there not enough options? Like, what's happening to create this bottleneck in my marketing? And so obviously there are other variables that can take place, but those are the basic 2 rules of thumb. Number 1, is it below break even? And does it have at least 2,000 impressions? If so, then we're gonna turn it off. And number 2 is, if it's at target ROAS or higher for the overall campaign, then we're gonna bump the overall campaign budget by 20 to 30% each day of the promo sprint, whether you're running it for 2 days, 3 days, 7 days, or 14 days. We're gonna do that same process. All right, so these are, just kind of to recap here, these are the 5 things that we do to run promo sprints. All right, so promo sprints, again, are short campaigns that we're able to stack on top of what we're already doing that are usually hyper profitable because we're running to warm and hot audiences. So to recap, there are 5 things you need to do. Number 1, create a cash cow offer. Number 2, establish your break even and target return on ad spend. Number 3, build campaign strategy and structure. Number 4, build your ad assets. And then number 5, launch and manage your promo sprint as it starts to go. Wow. We dove pretty deep. I know that was a lot. That was really nitty gritty, but I think that it's gonna really help a lot of you out there that are struggling with figuring out how to run short campaigns, how to test new products. But this is a process that has been proven to work, that we have used over and over and over, from me to you. So, my friends, you've been listening to the E-Commerce Alley podcast, produced by the legendary Dylan Counts. I'm your host, Josh Coffey. We're grateful that you're hanging out with us. Connect with us at the E-Commerce Alley on Instagram and other social media networks, and we will see you in the next episode.